Imagine a life meticulously built, brick by brick, on a foundation of trust and shared dreams. For Camila Rodriguez, a sharp, successful marketing executive, that life was a reality. Her career was soaring, her marriage to Brandon felt stable, and their future together was a tapestry of promising possibilities. But sometimes, the most solid foundations hide the deepest cracks, and the most vibrant realities are merely elaborate illusions. This isn't just a story about betrayal, it's a deep dive into the shocking reality of financial deception within a marriage, the insidious nature of gaslighting, and the incredible strength it takes to reclaim one's life from the ashes of deceit. We often believe we know the people closest to us. We trust their words, their actions, their very presence in our lives. But what happens when that trust is not just broken, but meticulously shattered, piece by agonizing piece, by the one person you vowed to build a future with? What happens when the person you share your bed and your life with is leading a meticulously crafted double life, funded by your own hard-earned money? This is the story of Camila, a woman who, in a single phone call, had her entire reality violently upended, forcing her to confront the darkest corners of human deceit and ultimately discover a resilience she never knew she possessed. It was a Tuesday, a seemingly ordinary workday in Chicago, when the first tremor struck, a seismic shift disguised as a phone call. Camila was immersed in the world of quarterly reports, numbers, and strategies, a world where facts were tangible and results measurable. Her phone buzzed, displaying her younger sister Luna's name, a rarity during work hours, especially from the idyllic shores of Hawaii, where Luna reigned as the efficient, no-nonsense manager of the prestigious Pacific Pearl Resort. A flicker of unease, a cold knot in her stomach, that primal intuition that whispers warnings when logic is still sleeping, compelled Camila to answer. "Camila, I need to ask you something, and I want you to sit down." Luna's voice, usually a melody of Hawaiian warmth, was tight, strained, carrying an urgency that cut through the mundane office hum. It was a premonition of doom, a sentence that screams, "Your world is about to change." Camila, ever the professional, tried to maintain composure. "I'm fine standing. What's wrong?" she asked, her pen clattering to the desk, her professional focus dissolving into an acute sudden alertness. Then came the question, a seemingly innocuous query that would detonate the bomb. Where is Brandon right now? The casualness of the question, juxtaposed with Luna's obvious tension, struck Camila as odd. "He's on a business trip in Denver, some conference for his consulting firm. Why are you asking?" The silence that followed felt like an eternity, a vast echoing chasm where her future was about to fall apart. She could hear the gentle rush of ocean waves in the background, the distant carefree chatter of hotel guests, sounds of a paradise her husband was apparently enjoying without her. "Camila, he's not in Denver. He's here at my hotel in Hawaii." The words landed like physical blows, each one a hammer strike against the fortress of her perceived reality. Her legs weakened, threatening to give way, and she instinctively clutched the edge of her desk, grounding herself against the dizzying spin of revelation. He checked in 3 days ago with a woman named Marion Chin. They've been acting like they're on their honeymoon. The impossible had just become devastatingly real. That's impossible. Brandon wouldn't. He's never even been to Hawaii. Denial, that first fierce protector of a shattered heart, rose to meet the onslaught. But Luna, firm yet gentle, was not finished. "There's more. He's been using your ATM card for everything. Room service, spa treatments, excursions. I saw the name on the credit card receipts when housekeeping brought them to the front desk. Camila Rodriguez Williams. That's your married name." The world tilted. 7 years. 7 years of marriage, of shared dreams, of unwavering trust. 7 years of believing every fabricated business trip, every late night at the office explanation, The casual cruelty of his deception, funding his lavish affair with her money, twisted the knife of betrayal deeper into her gut. Her hands trembled, her vision blurred. The edifice of her life, meticulously constructed and lovingly maintained, was crumbling before her eyes. "Are you absolutely certain it's him?" Her voice was barely a whisper, a faint plea for this nightmare to be just that, a bad dream. But Luna offered no such comfort. "I took his photo when he was at the pool this morning. I'm sending it to you right now." Camilla's phone buzzed, a digital harbinger of undeniable truth. With trembling fingers, she opened the message, and there he was, Brandon. Unmistakably Brandon, lounging by a crystal-clear pool, his arm draped possessively around a beautiful Asian woman in a red bikini. He was laughing, a genuine, unburdened laugh, looking more relaxed, more radiantly happy than Camilla had seen him in months. The woman was young, probably in her late 20s, with long black hair and a perfect smile. "Oh my God," Camilla whispered, sinking into her chair, the air knocked out of her lungs. "Oh my God, Luna! How long have they been together? How long has this been going on?" Luna's response was a chilling echo of Camilla's own fear. "I don't know, but from the way they're acting, this isn't their first time together. They know each other well, really well. This isn't just a story about a cheating husband. It's a masterclass in the slow, insidious erosion of trust and the art of gaslighting. Brandon hadn't just cheated. He had manipulated Camilla into believing her own instincts were wrong. All those weekend business conferences, the late nights, the mysterious phone calls he took in another room, his increasing emotional distance. She had rationalized it all as work stress. Oh, how many of us have been there? Attributing a partner's withdrawal to external pressures because the alternative, that they are actively deceiving us, is too painful, too unfathomable to confront. Camilla's blindness wasn't a flaw. It was a testament to her trust, a trust Brandon had brutally exploited. The shock gave way to a cold, hard clarity. "I'm here," she managed, her voice sounding alien even to herself. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to handle this." This is the moment many find themselves in, paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of betrayal. But Luna, her sister, was not just a confidant. She was a force of nature, a strategist, a protector. "You don't have to handle it alone. I have an idea, but first I need to know something. Do you want to try to work things out with him, or are you done?" The question, in any other circumstance, would have required agonizing contemplation. But Camilla's answer came with a surprising, fierce clarity, a guttural response from the deepest part of her wounded soul. "I'm done, Luna, completely done. If he wanted to cheat, he could have at least had the decency not to use my money to do it." And with that statement, a new path opened, a path not of reconciliation, but of righteous retribution. "Good," Luna said, her voice now edged with a steel that matched Camilla's newfound resolve, "because I think we can make him pay for what he's done. Really pay." This was no longer just about pain. It was about justice. "What do you mean?" Camilla asked, a spark of anger, sharp and clean, igniting within her. She hadn't expected this surge of empowering fury. Luna's plan began to unfold, a brilliant, audacious scheme crafted with the precision of a seasoned hotel manager and the ferocity of a protective sister. "He's trapped here for 3 more days according to his reservation. He has no idea that I'm your sister. I kept my maiden name when I took this job. He thinks he's completely safe, living it up on your dime with his mistress. But we can change that." The idea was audacious, almost cinematic. Public exposure for public betrayal. "What are you thinking?" Camilla pressed, a grim smile forming on her lips for the first time since the call. It wasn't a pleasant smile. It was the chilling grin of someone who had seen her world destroyed and was now ready to dismantle her destroyers. I'm thinking that a man who steals from his wife and flaunts his affair in public deserves to be exposed in public. And I'm thinking that my hotel has security cameras everywhere, a full staff who are very loyal to me, and about 200 guests who would be very interested to know what kind of man Brandon really is. The raw, unfiltered catharsis of that thought was intoxicating. "Tell me more," Camilla said, the words a low growl of anticipation. The plan began with practical, immediate steps. First, I need you to do something. Call your bank right now and put a hold on that ATM card. Don't cancel it yet, just put a temporary hold. We want him to find out at the worst possible moment. The poetic justice of this small act was not lost on Camilla. She was already reaching for her laptop to access her online banking. Second, I need you to book a flight to Hawaii tonight if possible. There's something beautiful about confronting a cheating husband in paradise, don't you think? Luna's playful sarcasm underscored the gravity of their mission. Camilla hesitated, caught between the sheer audacity of the idea and the professional responsibilities that still clung to her. "Luna, I can't just leave work and fly to Hawaii." But Luna, ever practical, cut through her excuses. "Camilla, your husband is spending your money on another woman in one of the most expensive resorts in the Pacific. You're a marketing executive with 3 weeks of unused vacation time. I think you can manage a few days off." And she was right. Camilla had been working 60-hour weeks for months, pouring her energy into her career, while Brandon was apparently living a lavish double life on her dime. She deserved better than reviewing quarterly reports while her world fell apart. "What's the plan exactly?" Camilla asked, the practical strategist in her re-emerging. "I'm still working out the details, but here's what I'm thinking. Tomorrow night, the hotel is hosting its weekly luau. It's a big event, live music, traditional dancing, about 300 guests. Very public, very festive, very hard to escape from once you're there. And I think that would be the perfect time for Brandon to receive some unexpected news about his wife very publicly." Camilla's pulse quickened. "You want to expose him at a party?" The idea was both terrifying and exhilarating. "I want to give him exactly what he deserves. Public humiliation to match his public betrayal, but only if you're ready for that. Only if you're sure you want revenge instead of reconciliation." Camilla looked at the photo on her phone again. Brandon's arm around another woman, both of them laughing without a care in the world, spending her hard-earned money on their fantasy vacation. The decision was easy. The illusion was shattered. Now it was time for consequences. "I want revenge, Luna. I want him to feel exactly as humiliated and betrayed as I feel right now. Then book that flight." "And Camilla," Luna added, her voice now a conspiratorial whisper, "pack something stunning. If we're going to destroy your cheating husband's perfect little vacation, we're going to look amazing doing it." As Camilla booked her red-eye flight to Hawaii, memories flooded back with cruel clarity. Their meeting 8 years ago at a marketing conference in Las Vegas. Brandon, charming, successful, persistently attentive. Their whirlwind courtship, romantic dinners, weekend getaways, endless conversations about a future they were building together. Their beautiful wedding at the Chicago Botanic Garden, where she remembered feeling like the luckiest woman alive. Walking down the aisle toward Brandon's smiling face, seeing herself reflected in his eyes as if she were the only person in the world. For the first few years, their marriage had been everything she dreamed of. Brandon's consulting business was growing. Camilla was climbing the ladder at her marketing firm. They bought a beautiful house in Lincoln Park, traveled, talked about starting a family. He was attentive, romantic, supportive. But in hindsight, the cracks had begun to show about 2 years ago. Brandon's travel became more frequent, his clients seemingly spread across the country. Camilla, busy with her own career, was initially understanding, even appreciating the time to focus on work without guilt. But the romantic gestures dwindled, the long conversations stopped. When he was home, he was distracted, always checking his phone, always taking important calls in private. She had raised it a few times, only to be reassured it was work stress, that he was building their future. What a fool she had been, blinded by love and belief. This emotional and temporal journey is critical to understanding the depth of betrayal. It wasn't a sudden lapse. It was a gradual, calculated erosion, masked by gaslighting and the promise of a shared future that never truly existed. This kind of deception doesn't just hurt. It violates. It rewrites history, and it makes the victim question their own perception of reality. Many victims of similar betrayals describe a feeling of being crazy or overly suspicious, precisely because their partner's lies are so meticulously constructed. Camilla pulled up their joint bank account on her laptop and scrolled through recent transactions. Her stomach churned as the pattern emerged, stark and undeniable. ATM withdrawals in cities that didn't match Brandon's supposed business destinations, restaurant charges for 2 people in locations he had never mentioned visiting, hotel charges in places he claimed to be working from home. Then, the Hawaii charges started appearing 3 months ago. Not just this trip, but previous ones. How many times had he told her he was in Denver or Phoenix or Seattle, while he was actually in paradise with another woman, using hers money? She clicked through to their credit card statements and found even more damning evidence. Jewelry purchases she had never received, expensive lingerie from stores she had never been to, charges at romantic restaurants during times when Brandon claimed to be in boring business meetings. The financial betrayal was almost as painful as the emotional one. Camilla made good money, but Brandon had apparently been spending it as fast as she could earn it. Their savings account, earmarked for a down payment on a bigger house, was nearly empty. Their retirement fund was thousands of dollars lighter than it should have been. This wasn't just cheating. This was theft, pure and simple, and it added a layer of malicious intent that elevated the betrayal to a criminal level. Her phone rang. It was Luna again. "I booked the flight," Camilla said without preamble, her voice now firm, stripped of all vulnerability. "I land in Honolulu at 6 a.m., your time." "Perfect," Luna replied. "I already have your room ready. And Camilla, I've been doing some detective work." "What kind of detective work?" Camilla asked, the anger now a cold, focused resolve. "The kind that involves chatting with my housekeeping staff about the lovely couple in the Ocean View suite." Luna's voice held a grim amusement. "Marion is apparently a yoga instructor from Portland. She told the spa attendant that she and her boyfriend have been together for 8 months and that this is their 3rd trip to Hawaii together." 8 months. Camilla felt like she had been punched in the stomach again. 8 months of lies. 8 months of Brandon coming home to her after spending romantic vacations with another woman. The audacity, the casual cruelty, was breathtaking. "There's more," Luna continued, her tone now deadly serious. She also mentioned that they're thinking about moving in together when they get back to the mainland. Apparently, Brandon told her he's been divorced for 2 years and that his ex-wife was controlling and didn't understand his need for adventure. He said, "I was controlling?" Camilla's voice was dangerously quiet, a simmering volcano. "According to Marion, you were also financially irresponsible and couldn't manage money, which is why Brandon had to take control of all the finances." This was the final straw. The sheer hypocrisy was monumental. Camilla had been managing their finances since they got married because Brandon claimed he didn't have the patience for it. She paid all their bills, managed their investments, and had built their savings from nothing. The idea that he was telling his mistress she was financially irresponsible while using Camilla's own money to fund his affair and impress Marion was beyond insulting. It was a calculated act of character assassination designed to justify his theft. "Luna, I don't just want to embarrass him at the luau. I want to destroy him." The words, spoken with chilling conviction, were a declaration of war. "I was hoping you'd say that because I've been thinking about this, and I have some ideas that go way beyond public humiliation." "I'm listening." Luna's revised plan was even more elaborate, a masterpiece of strategic dismantling. First, we're going to let him dig himself deeper. I'm going to make sure he and Marion have the most romantic, expensive few days possible. Room service, couples massages, sunset sailing, all on your ATM card, of course. Camilla, initially confused, asked, "Why would we want him to spend more of my money?" "Because every charge is evidence," Luna explained patiently. "Every receipt with his signature is proof that he was here with her, using your money. When you file for divorce, you're going to want documentation of every single dollar he stole from you." Camilla hadn't even thought about the divorce proceedings yet, but Luna was right. She would need irrefutable evidence of Brandon's infidelity and financial betrayal. Second, we're going to make sure Marion knows exactly what kind of man she's been dating. She thinks she's in love with a divorced entrepreneur who's free to travel the world with her. She has no idea she's actually the other woman in a marriage that she's helping to destroy. "You think she doesn't know he's married?" Camilla asked, a flicker of empathy for Marion. "I'm certain of it. I've been observing them, and she acts like a woman who believes she's found her perfect man. She's talking about their future together, posting photos on social media, planning their next vacation. If she knew he was married, she would be more discreet." The thought that Marion was an innocent victim in this convoluted web of lies made Camilla feel slightly better. She didn't want to hurt someone who didn't deserve it, but she also couldn't let Brandon continue his deception. So, what happens at the luau? That's where we spring our trap. But first we have some preparation to do. And Camila, bring copies of your marriage certificate, your joint bank statements, and any love letters or photos Brandon has given you over the years. We're going to need proof that you're his wife, and we're going to need it to be undeniable. As Camilla hung up and began packing for Hawaii, she felt something she hadn't experienced in months: purpose. For too long, she had been drifting through her marriage, ignoring the signs, making excuses. Now she was going to take action. She packed her most beautiful dresses, her best jewelry, her highest heels. If she was going to confront her cheating husband in paradise, she was going to look absolutely stunning doing it. The last thing she packed was her wedding album. Every photo of their supposedly perfect life together. Every memory of the man she had thought she married. She would need those photos as evidence, but more than that, she would need the reminder of what Brandon had thrown away. As her plane lifted off from Chicago, Camilla stared out at the city lights growing smaller below her. When she returned, she would be a different person. She would be free. Camilla's flight landed in Honolulu just as the sun was painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Despite her exhaustion and heartbreak, she couldn't help but appreciate the beauty of the moment. Hawaii was everything she had imagined, and under different circumstances, she might have been arriving here for her own romantic vacation with Brandon. The irony was a bitter pill. Luna was waiting at baggage claim, and Camilla felt a rush of gratitude at seeing her sister's familiar, determined face. "You look terrible," Luna said by way of greeting, pulling Camilla into a fierce hug. "Thanks. That's exactly what every woman wants to hear after a 6-hour flight and discovering her husband is a cheating liar." "You look tired, but don't worry. We're going to fix everything, starting with getting you settled and fed, and then we're going to plan Brandon's downfall in detail." The drive to the Pacific Pearl Resort was breathtaking. Camilla had seen photos of Hawaii, but experiencing it in person was completely different. The ocean was a blue she had never seen before, the mountains lush and dramatic, the air smelling of flowers and possibility. "The hotel is beautiful, Luna. You've done amazing work here." "Thanks. It took me 3 years to get the management position, but it was worth it. I love this place, and the staff has become like family to me, which is why they're all going to help us with Operation Karma." "Operation Karma?" "That's what I'm calling our plan to give Brandon exactly what he deserves. I may have mentioned to a few key staff members that we're going to be dealing with a situation involving a cheating husband, and let's just say they're very enthusiastic about helping." They pulled up to the resort, and Camilla gasped. The Pacific Pearl was absolutely stunning, with traditional Hawaiian architecture blending seamlessly into the natural landscape. Palm trees swayed in the ocean breeze, and she could see glimpses of pristine beach through the tropical vegetation. This must cost a fortune to stay here. It does. Your husband has expensive taste when he's spending your money. Luna led Camilla through the lobby, open air and elegant, adorned with local artwork and fresh flowers. A few guests were having breakfast on the terrace, and Camilla found herself scanning their faces, looking for Brandon. "They're not down yet," Luna said, noticing her sister's nervousness. "They rarely emerge before 10 a.m. Apparently, they're not morning people." Camilla's room was on the same floor as the Ocean View suite where Brandon and Marion were staying, but far enough away that there was no chance of an accidental encounter. It was beautiful, with a private balcony overlooking the ocean and a king-sized bed covered in tropical print linens. "I had room service send up breakfast and coffee," Luna said. "Eat something, shower, and then meet me in my office at 9 a.m. By then, I'll have all the information we need about Brandon's schedule for the next 2 days." After Luna left, Camilla sat on her balcony with her coffee, trying to process the surreal nature of her situation. Less than 24 hours ago, she had been reviewing quarterly reports in her Chicago office, completely unaware that her marriage was a lie. Now she was in paradise, plotting revenge against the husband who had betrayed her in the most spectacular way possible. Her phone buzzed with a text from Brandon. "Missing you, babe. Denver is boring as usual. Can't wait to get home and see you. Love you." The casual cruelty of the lie, the sheer audacity of it, made Camilla's hands shake with rage. He was probably sending that text from bed, with Marion beside him, both of them laughing about how easy it was to deceive his stupid wife. She screenshot the message. It would be useful evidence later. This is the bitter reality for so many victims of infidelity, the constant compounding lies that make the betrayal feel even more profound. It's not just the cheating, it's the mockery of trust, the deliberate construction of an alternative, false reality. At 9 a.m. sharp, Camilla knocked on the door of Luna's office. Her sister was waiting with a pot of coffee, a legal pad covered in notes, and a determined expression. "Okay, here's what I've learned," Luna began without preamble. "Brandon and Marion have been here for 4 days. They're scheduled to leave Sunday morning, which gives us 3 more days to execute our plan. Their daily routine is pretty predictable. They sleep late, have room service breakfast, spend the afternoon at the pool or spa, and eat dinner at one of the resort's restaurants." "Have you been watching them?" Camilla asked, a hint of disgust in her voice. "I've been observing them professionally," Luna clarified, a wry smile touching her lips. "As the resort manager, I make it my business to ensure all guests are having a good experience. And let me tell you, they're definitely having a good experience. On your dime." Luna slid a folder across the desk. "These are copies of all their charges since they arrived. Couples massage, $400. Sunset sailing excursion, $300. Dinner at our most expensive restaurant, $250. Room service, champagne and strawberries, $150. It goes on and on." Camilla flipped through the receipts, each one a fresh stab of betrayal. He spent over $2,000 in 4 days, and that's not counting the room, which is $800 a night. The sheer scale of the financial exploitation was staggering. "I want to confront them right now. I want to march up there and tell Marion exactly what kind of man she's dating." "I know you do, but we need to be strategic about this," Luna cautioned. "If you confront them now, privately, Brandon will find a way to spin the story. He'll claim you're crazy or vindictive or that you've been separated. Marion might believe him, and he'll just take her somewhere else to continue the affair." Luna was right, but the waiting was torture. "Tonight is the weekly island culture show," Luna continued. "It's held on the beach, and attendance is basically mandatory for couples staying in the premium suites. Brandon and Marion will be there." "What are you thinking?" I'm thinking that would be a perfect opportunity for you to see them together, to understand their dynamic, and to prepare yourself emotionally for what comes next. You can observe them without being seen, and then tomorrow is the big luau. That's when we strike. But first, I need to know exactly what you want to achieve here. Do you want Brandon to suffer maximum embarrassment? Do you want Marion to know the truth about him? Do you want to humiliate him so completely that he can never show his face in public again? Camilla thought about it. What did she want? She wanted Brandon to feel as betrayed and humiliated as she felt. She wanted Marion to know that the man she thought she loved was a liar and a cheat. She wanted consequences that matched the magnitude of Brandon's betrayal. "I want it all," she said finally, her voice imbued with a chilling calm. "I want him exposed, humiliated, and left with nothing. I want Marion to know exactly what kind of man she's been sleeping with. And I want everyone at this resort to know that Brandon Rodriguez Williams is a cheating, lying thief who steals from his wife to fund his affairs." Luna smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Perfect, because I have a plan that will give you everything you want and more. Tell me, tomorrow night's luau is being filmed by a local television station for a travel segment. We're going to have cameras rolling when Brandon's perfect little fantasy world comes crashing down around him." Camilla felt a thrill of anticipation mixed with nerves. "You want to destroy his life on television?" "I want to give him exactly the same level of public humiliation that he gave you. He flaunted his affair in public, using your money to do it. Fair is fair." "What about Marion?" "Marion is going to learn some very uncomfortable truths about her boyfriend, but she's also going to be given a choice about how she handles that information. If she's truly innocent in this, she'll do the right thing." They spent the next 2 hours planning every detail of Operation Karma. Luna had contacts throughout the hotel staff who were eager to help, and she'd already spoken to the television crew about featuring a special surprise during their luau coverage. By the time they finished planning, Camilla felt more confident than she had since receiving Luna's initial phone call. Brandon thought he was safe, thought he had successfully deceived everyone. He had no idea that his wife was less than 100 yards away, planning his complete and total downfall. "There's one more thing," Luna said as they wrapped up their meeting. "I need you to be absolutely sure about this. Once we put this plan in motion, there's no going back. Your marriage will be over, and it will be over very publicly." Camilla didn't hesitate. "My marriage is already over. Brandon ended it the moment he decided to betray our vows and steal my money to do it. I'm just making sure he faces the consequences." "Good. Then let's destroy your cheating husband." That afternoon, Camilla positioned herself at the resort's beachside cafe, strategically hidden behind palm fronds and oversized sunglasses, waiting to see Brandon and Marion together for the first time. Luna had told her they usually appeared at the pool around 2 p.m., and Camilla needed to prepare herself emotionally for what she was about to witness. At 2:15, they emerged from the hotel like something from a romantic movie. Brandon was wearing swim trunks and a linen shirt, looking more relaxed and happy than Camilla had seen him in years. Marion was stunning in a turquoise bikini with a flowing cover-up and a wide-brimmed hat that made her look like a movie star. What hurt most wasn't just seeing them together, but seeing how Brandon looked at Marion. He was attentive and affectionate in a way he hadn't been with Camilla for at least 2 years. He held her hand, whispered in her ear, made her laugh. This wasn't just a physical affair. Brandon was emotionally invested in this relationship. They found lounge chairs by the pool, and Brandon immediately began applying sunscreen to Marion's back, his touches lingering and intimate. Marion leaned into him, completely comfortable and trusting. She had no idea she was dating a married man. Camilla took photos with her phone, documenting their obvious intimacy and happiness. Each picture felt like evidence for her divorce case, but also like another nail in the coffin of her marriage. Luna appeared at her table carrying a tropical drink. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine. Seeing them together like this, it's making this easier. I can see how happy he is with her, how invested he is in this relationship. This isn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. This is Brandon choosing someone else over his wife. This cold clarity is often a turning point for victims of betrayal. When the denial finally shatters, the sight of the betrayer happy with someone else, unburdened by the lies, can paradoxically be freeing. It confirms the deliberate nature of their choices, removing any lingering doubts about their love or commitment. "Good," Luna said, "because I have some updates on our plan for tomorrow night." Luna sat down, angling herself so she could also observe Brandon and Marion. "I've been talking to the staff, and we have some interesting information. The bartender at the poolside bar says Brandon has been bragging about his successful business and his freedom to travel anywhere he wants. He told the bartender yesterday that he's never been happier in his life." "Of course he's happy," Camilla retorted, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. "He has a wife at home paying all the bills while he plays house with his girlfriend in paradise. There's more," Luna continued, her eyes gleaming with discovery. "The concierge who booked their sunset sailing trip says Marion asked about romantic restaurants for their 6-month anniversary dinner. She wants to surprise Brandon with something special." 6 months? But Luna, you said she told the spa attendant they'd been together for 8 months. Luna's eyes lit up. "Exactly. Which means Marion isn't entirely sure about their timeline, which suggests Brandon has been feeding her different stories. That's going to be very useful information tomorrow night." This discrepancy highlighted Brandon's chronic dishonesty, painting a picture of a man who tailored his narrative to suit his audience, leaving even his mistress confused about their shared history. It solidified Marion's status as a victim, not a willing participant. They watched as Brandon and Marion ordered drinks from the poolside bar. Even from a distance, Camilla could see that Marion was completely smitten. She hung on Brandon's every word, laughed at all his jokes, and looked at him like he hung the moon. "I actually feel sorry for her," Camilla admitted. "She really thinks she's found her perfect man. She has no idea that her perfect man is committing fraud to pay for their perfect romance. Speaking of which, I have an update on the financial situation." Luna pulled out her tablet and showed Camilla a detailed breakdown of all charges to her ATM card over the past 3 months. The total was staggering. Over $15,000 spent on Brandon's affair. "This goes way beyond just this Hawaii trip," Luna explained. "He's been taking her to expensive resorts all over the country. Look at these charges. Napa Valley, Martha's Vineyard, Key West. Your husband has been living like a billionaire playboy on your salary." Camilla studied the charges, and a sickening pattern emerged. Every trip coincided with times when Brandon had told her he was traveling for work. Every romantic weekend getaway had been funded by money from their joint account. "I've also been doing some research on Marion," Luna continued. "She's actually quite successful in her own right. She owns a yoga studio in Portland and teaches at high-end retreats. She could probably afford to pay for her own vacations." "So why is Brandon paying for everything?" Camilla asked, the pieces falling into place. "Because he's trying to impress her. He wants to be the generous, successful businessman who can sweep her off her feet. He's using your money to play a role that doesn't actually exist." Camilla watched Brandon order another round of expensive cocktails, charging them to their room. Her room. The room she was unknowingly paying for. "Luna, I want to make sure Marion knows that Brandon could never actually afford this lifestyle on his own. I want her to understand that every romantic gesture, every expensive dinner, every luxury vacation has been funded by money stolen from his wife." "Don't worry," Luna promised, her voice grim. "Tomorrow night, Marion is going to learn some very uncomfortable truths about her boyfriend's finances." As they continued watching, Marion pulled out her phone and began taking selfies of herself and Brandon. She was clearly planning to post them on social media, proudly showing off her romantic vacation with her amazing boyfriend. "Has she posted photos of them together before?" Camilla asked. "I've been checking her Instagram account. She's been posting photos of their trips for months, but she always tags the locations without mentioning Brandon specifically. She calls him my love or my travel partner, but never uses his name. That's smart of her, Camilla observed. If she thinks he's divorced, she's probably being respectful of his privacy. Or Brandon asked her not to use his name on social media, Luna suggested. Either way, she's been very discreet, which is going to make tomorrow night even more shocking. Luna stood up. I need to get back to work, but I want you to stay here and continue observing them. Get comfortable with seeing them together because tomorrow night you're going to have to face them directly. After Luna left, Camilla ordered her own tropical drink and settled in for a long afternoon of surveillance. It was torture, but it was also necessary. She needed to understand the dynamic between Brandon and Marion, needed to see exactly what her husband had chosen over their marriage. As the afternoon wore on, she watched them swim together, share intimate conversations, and generally act like a couple deeply in love. Marion was affectionate and adoring, and Brandon was attentive and romantic. They looked like the perfect couple enjoying the perfect vacation. The irony was that they probably were perfect together. In another universe where Brandon wasn't married and wasn't funding their relationship through financial fraud, they might actually have a beautiful future ahead of them. But in this universe, Brandon was a cheating husband and a thief, and Marion was an unwitting accomplice to the destruction of his marriage. Tomorrow night, that reality was going to come crashing down on both of them. As the sun began to set, Brandon and Marion gathered their things and headed back to the hotel, probably to get ready for dinner at another expensive restaurant. Camilla finished her drink and went back to her room to prepare for the island culture show that evening. She had seen enough for one day. Tomorrow she would see much more. The next morning, Camilla woke up with a mixture of excitement and terror. Today was the day she would confront Brandon and expose his affair in the most public way possible. Luna had texted her early with final details about their plan, and everything was falling into place perfectly. At 8:07 a.m., Camilla met Luna in the hotel's business center to go over their strategy one final time. They had printed copies of Camilla's marriage certificate, joint bank statements, and several photos of her and Brandon together over the years. They had also prepared a detailed timeline of Brandon's lies and financial betrayals. The television crew arrives at 4 p.m. to set up for the luau coverage, Luna explained. They're expecting to film a typical resort event with happy vacationing couples. They have no idea they're about to witness the most dramatic confrontation in Hawaiian resort history. Are you sure they'll keep filming when things get intense? Camilla asked, a flicker of doubt. Are you kidding? Luna scoffed. This is going to be the kind of reality TV gold that stations dream about. They'll film everything, and it will probably end up going viral online. Camilla felt a flutter of nervousness. Maybe this is too extreme. Maybe I should just confront them privately. Luna grabbed her sister's hands. Camila, Brandon humiliated you publicly by flaunting his affair where people could see them. He used your money to do it, making you an unwitting participant in your own betrayal. He deserves exactly the same level of public humiliation. She was right. Brandon had made his affair as public as possible while keeping Camilla in the dark. Fair was fair. Besides, Luna continued, Marion deserves to know the truth about the man she thinks she's in love with. She's been posting photos of their romantic trips online, telling her friends and family about her amazing boyfriend, making plans for their future together. She has a right to know that their entire relationship is built on lies and theft. What if she doesn't believe us? That's why we have documentation, marriage certificate, joint bank statements, photos of you and Brandon together. We have proof that can't be disputed. They spent the morning coordinating with key staff members. The bartender who would be serving drinks at the luau was prepared to provide a microphone if needed. The photographer who documented all resort events had been briefed on the situation and would make sure to capture everything. Even the musicians who would be performing had been given a heads up that there might be some drama during their set. At noon, Luna received a call that made their plan even more perfect. That was the concierge, Luna said, hanging up with a satisfied smile. "Brandon just booked a private dinner on the beach for tonight, right before the luau starts. He's planning to propose to Marion." Camilla felt like she had been slapped. He's going to propose? But we're still married. Apparently, he told the concierge that he's planning to surprise his girlfriend with a promise ring and a proposal to move in together. He wants the dinner set up right on the beach where everyone can see them. The audacity was breathtaking. Brandon was planning to propose to another woman while still legally married, using money stolen from his wife to pay for the ring and the romantic dinner. "This changes everything," Camilla said, her voice tight with disbelief and renewed fury. "We can't let him propose to her with a lie. We have to stop him before he gets that far." "We will. But first, let's use his plan to our advantage. He wants a public proposal on the beach. Let's give him the most public proposal in the history of Hawaiian resorts." They revised their timeline. Instead of waiting until the luau was in full swing, they would confront Brandon during his romantic beach dinner with Marion. It would be even more dramatic, even more humiliating, and even more devastating. "I need to see the ring," Camilla said. "If he bought it with our joint account, I want to know how much of my money he spent on jewelry for his mistress." Luna made some calls and discovered that Brandon had indeed purchased a ring from the resort's high-end jewelry boutique. The cost? $3,500, charged to Camilla's credit card this morning. "He bought her a $3,500 ring with my money," Camilla said, her voice deadly quiet. "He's planning to propose to another woman with jewelry that I unknowingly paid for. And we're going to make sure Marion knows exactly how that ring was purchased." At 2 p.m., they did a final walkthrough of the beach area where Brandon's romantic dinner would take place. It was a beautiful spot with tiki torches, a table for two set up in the sand, and a perfect view of the ocean. Under different circumstances, it would have been incredibly romantic. "The television crew will be setting up their equipment right over there," Luna pointed to an area about 50 feet away. "They'll have a perfect view of the dinner table, and their cameras will catch everything." "What about other hotel guests?" "The beach will be full of people getting ready for the luau. Brandon chose the most public spot possible for his proposal. Everyone will see what happens." At 4 p.m., Camilla retreated to her room to get ready. She chose a stunning red dress that Brandon had always loved, her best jewelry, and heels that made her feel powerful and confident. If she was going to destroy her cheating husband's life, she was going to look absolutely beautiful doing it. At 5 p.m., Luna knocked on her door. "It's time. They're getting ready for their dinner. Marion has no idea what's coming." They made their way to the beach where the television crew was indeed setting up their equipment. The reporter, a young woman named Jessica, had been briefed on the situation and was clearly excited about the story she was about to witness. "This is going to be incredible," Jessica whispered to Luna. "We've never filmed anything like this before." Brandon and Marion appeared at 5:30, walking hand in hand toward their romantic table. Marion looked absolutely radiant in a flowing white dress, her hair perfectly styled, her face glowing with happiness and anticipation. She clearly had no idea what Brandon was planning, which made the evening even more special for her. Brandon looked nervous but excited, dressed in his best suit with a small jewelry box bulging in his pocket. He was probably imagining how perfect this moment would be, how romantic and memorable their engagement would be. He had no idea his wife was watching from behind a palm tree, ready to turn his perfect moment into his worst nightmare. "They're sitting down," Luna whispered. "The waiter is bringing champagne. Brandon is looking at the sunset, probably timing when to get down on one knee." Camilla's heart was pounding. In just a few minutes, she would walk onto that beach and expose Brandon's lies in front of Marion, the television cameras, and dozens of other hotel guests. There would be no going back after that. "Are you ready?" Luna asked. Camilla looked at Brandon sitting across from Marion at their romantic table, preparing to propose to another woman with money stolen from his wife. She thought about all the lies he had told, all the money he had spent, all the nights he had come home to her after spending days with Marion. "I'm ready," she said, her voice a low, steely resolve. "Let's destroy him." The champagne had just been poured when Camilla stepped out from behind the palm trees and began walking across the beach toward Brandon and Marion's romantic dinner table. The television cameras, thinking she was part of the planned resort festivities, began filming her approach. Brandon saw her first. His face went through a series of expressions that would have been comical under different circumstances: confusion, recognition, terror, and finally, complete panic. He literally choked on his champagne, coughing and sputtering while Marion patted his back with concern. "Are you okay, honey?" Marion asked, her voice carrying across the beach in the evening quiet. Brandon couldn't speak. He was staring at Camilla like he was seeing a ghost, his face draining of all color. The small jewelry box in his jacket pocket might as well have been a bomb, ticking away toward explosion. Camilla reached their table and smiled pleasantly at Marion, who looked puzzled but polite. "Hi there," Camilla said in her most cheerful voice. "I'm so sorry to interrupt your dinner, but I think there's been a misunderstanding." Marion looked between Camilla and Brandon, clearly sensing tension but not understanding its source. "I'm sorry. Do we know you?" "Not exactly, but I know both of you quite well. Marion, isn't it? The yoga instructor from Portland." "Yes." Marion's voice was cautious now. "And you are?" "I'm Camilla Rodriguez-Williams, Brandon's wife." The words hung in the air like a physical presence, heavy with meaning, shattering the romantic evening into a million sharp shards. Marion blinked several times as if she hadn't heard correctly. Brandon made a sound that might have been a whimper, a pitiful choked noise. His wife. Marion's voice was barely a whisper. "For 7 years now. Here, let me show you." Camilla pulled out copies of their marriage certificate and several photos of her and Brandon together. She set them on the table next to the champagne glasses. Marion stared at the documents, her face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and dawning horror. "Brandon, what is this? What is she talking about?" Brandon finally found his voice, though it came out as a croak. "Camilla, what are you doing here? How did I find you? Well, it's funny you should ask. My sister Luna manages this resort. She called me when she noticed that my husband was here with another woman, charging everything to my ATM card. Small world, isn't it?" Marion picked up one of the photos, a picture of Camilla and Brandon at their wedding. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably. "Brandon, you told me you were divorced. You said your ex-wife was controlling and that you'd been separated for 2 years. Marion, I can explain." "Explain what?" Camilla asked sweetly, her tone laced with a chilling sarcasm. "Explain how you've been lying to both of us for months? Explain how you've stolen over $15,000 from our joint account to fund your affair? Or explain how you were about to propose to another woman while still married to me?" Marion's face went white. "Propose?" she gasped. "Brandon, were you going to—" Brandon's hand instinctively went to his jacket pocket where the $3,500 ring was hidden. The movement didn't go unnoticed by anyone, including the television cameras that were now openly filming the confrontation. "Oh, yes," Camilla continued, her voice clear and cutting. "He has a beautiful engagement ring in his pocket. $3,500, charged to my credit card this morning. I have the receipt if you'd like to see it." Marion stood up so quickly that her chair fell over in the sand. "You bought me a ring with your wife's money?" "Marion, please let me explain. It's not what it looks like." "It's not what it looks like?" Marion's voice was rising, attracting the attention of other hotel guests. "You're married. You lied to me about everything." By now, a crowd was gathering, drawn by the escalating voices and the dramatic scene unfolding. The television crew was filming everything, and other hotel guests were openly staring. Luna appeared at the edge of the crowd, watching with grim satisfaction as their plan unfolded perfectly. "Brandon," Camilla said, her voice still calm and pleasant, though radiating a terrifying power. "Why don't you tell Marion about all the romantic trips you've taken her on? The ones you told me were business conferences, Martha's Vineyard, Napa Valley, Key West, all paid for with money from our joint account." Marion's eyes filled with tears. "All those trips. You said you were successful, that you could afford to treat me well." "He can't afford any of this on his own," Camilla explained gently, her voice now filled with a strange compassion for Marion. "His consulting business barely breaks even. Every romantic dinner, every expensive hotel, every luxury vacation has been funded by his wife's salary. By my salary." "You're lying," Brandon said desperately, looking between the two women and the growing crowd. "Marion, don't listen to her. She's crazy. She's vindictive. We're separated. We're getting divorced." Camilla pulled out her phone. "Brandon, you texted me yesterday. Would you like me to read it out loud? Missing you, babe. Denver is boring as usual. Can't wait to get home and see you. Love you." "Does that sound like a separated man to anyone?" the crowd murmured, clearly riveted by the unfolding drama. Someone in the back was filming with their phone, and Camilla realized this confrontation was probably going to end up on social media within hours. Marion was staring at Brandon like she'd never seen him before. "You told me you were in Denver for business. You were texting your wife while you were here with me? Marion, please, I love you. I was going to leave her. You were going to tell her everything after we got engaged. With a ring you bought with her money?" Marion's voice cracked. "How could you do this to me? How could you make me part of this?" She pulled off the promise ring Brandon had given her months earlier and threw it at him. It hit him in the chest and fell into the sand. "And how could you do this to your wife?" Marion turned to Camilla, her face wet with tears, but her eyes now clear. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I would never have. If I had known he was married." "I believe you," Camilla said kindly. "You're as much a victim of his lies as I am." Brandon was looking back and forth between the two women, panic evident in every line of his body. "This is all wrong. You're both overreacting. Camilla, we can work this out. Marion, you know what we have together is real." "What we have together is built on lies and theft," Marion said, her voice growing stronger. "I don't even know who you really are." "And what we have together is over," Camilla added. "Brandon, I've already filed for divorce. You'll be served with papers when you get back to Chicago." Brandon's face went even paler, if that was possible. "You filed for divorce? When?" "This morning. My lawyer was very interested in all the evidence of your infidelity and financial fraud. Apparently, using your spouse's money to fund an extramarital affair is considered particularly egregious in divorce proceedings." The crowd was completely silent now, hanging on every word. The television reporter was getting everything on camera, and Camilla could see Luna in the background, looking proud and satisfied. "This is insane," Brandon said, standing up abruptly. "I'm not going to stand here and be humiliated like this." "Where are you going to go?" Camilla asked, her voice calmly delivering the final blows. "Your credit cards are maxed out. Your ATM card has been frozen, and your girlfriend just dumped you. Oh, and your wife is divorcing you. I'd say you're pretty much stuck here until your flight home on Sunday." Brandon's phone chose that moment to ring. He answered it desperately, probably hoping for some kind of rescue. "Hello? What? No, that can't be right. Check again." His face went from pale to green. "What do you mean the card was declined?" He hung up and looked at the crowd of faces staring at him. "The hotel says my card was declined for tonight's room service order." "That's because I put a hold on all our joint accounts," Camilla explained. "I'm not paying for your affair anymore, Brandon. You're on your own now." The full weight of his situation was finally hitting Brandon. No money, no girlfriend, no wife, no dignity, and no way off the island for 2 more days. He was trapped in paradise, with the ruins of his double life scattered around him like debris from a shipwreck. "This isn't over, Camilla," he said desperately. "We can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work it out." Camilla looked at her husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, standing in the sand with an engagement ring meant for another woman bulging in his pocket, his face streaked with tears and champagne, his lies finally exposed for everyone to see. "No, Brandon," she said quietly. "We really can't." What happened next would later be described by hotel guests as the most dramatic scene they had ever witnessed at a resort. Brandon, realizing that his world was completely collapsing around him, made one final desperate attempt to salvage the situation. "Marion, please," he said, reaching for her arm. "What we have is real. I love you. I was going to leave her anyway." Marion jerked away from his touch like she'd been burned. "Don't you dare touch me. You made me the other woman, Brandon. You made me complicit in destroying your marriage without even telling me I was doing it. But you love me too. You can't just throw away what we have because of a technicality." "A technicality?" Marion's voice rose to a near shout, echoing the raw emotion of a woman whose heart and trust had been utterly violated. "Your marriage is a technicality. The fact that you've been lying to me for 8 months is a technicality? The fact that every romantic gesture you've ever made was paid for with stolen money is a technicality?" The crowd was growing larger as more hotel guests and staff gathered to witness the unfolding drama. The television crew was getting everything on camera, and the reporter was practically salivating at the ratings goldmine that had fallen into her lap. Luna stepped forward from the crowd, her presence commanding attention. "I'm Luna Martinez, the resort manager. I think it's time for everyone to know exactly what's been happening at my hotel." She addressed the crowd directly. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you're witnessing is the exposure of a man who has been defrauding his wife and deceiving his girlfriend for months. Mr. Rodriguez-Williams has been using his wife's money to fund an extramarital affair, lying to both women about his situation, and committing what amounts to financial fraud." The crowd murmured with disapproval. Several people pulled out their phones to film the confrontation, and Camilla realized that by tomorrow, this scene would probably be viewed by thousands of people online. "Furthermore," Luna continued, her voice unwavering, "he was planning to compound his deception tonight by proposing to his girlfriend with a ring purchased using his wife's credit card without her knowledge or consent." "That's enough," Brandon shouted, his voice cracking with desperation. "This is none of your business. This is between me and my family." "Your family?" Marion laughed bitterly, a sound devoid of humor. "I'm not your family, Brandon. I'm just another one of your victims." She turned to address the crowd herself. "I want everyone to know that I had no idea this man was married. He told me he was divorced, that his ex-wife was controlling and manipulative. He made me believe that we had a future together while he was going home to his real wife every few weeks." "Marion, please don't do this," Brandon begged, his composure completely shattered. "You're embarrassing both of us." "I'm embarrassing us?" Marion's eyes flashed with anger, a fire ignited by betrayal. "You embarrassed yourself the moment you decided to lie to 2 women who trusted you. You embarrassed yourself when you decided to steal from your wife to impress your mistress. You embarrassed yourself when you planned to propose to me with jewelry you couldn't afford." She pulled the engagement ring from Brandon's pocket before he could stop her and held it up for everyone to see. This ring cost $3,500, money stolen from his wife's account this morning. He was going to put it on my finger and ask me to marry him while he was still legally married to another woman. The crowd gasped. Someone in the back shouted, "That's fraud," and several people nodded in agreement. Brandon made a grab for the ring, but Marion tossed it to Camilla. "This belongs to you. You paid for it." Camilla caught the ring and looked at it. It was actually quite beautiful, exactly the style she would have chosen for herself. The irony was bitter. "Thank you, Marion. I'll make sure to return it and get my money back." "This is insane," Brandon shouted again, his voice shrill. "You're all acting like I committed murder. People have affairs. It happens. People don't usually steal from their spouses to fund their affairs, Camilla replied calmly. And they don't usually try to commit bigamy by proposing to their mistresses while still married. I wasn't going to commit bigamy. It was just a promise ring. A $3,500 promise ring that you bought with stolen money, Marion pointed out, her voice dripping with scorn. After telling me for months that you were free to marry me whenever I was ready. The television reporter stepped forward with her microphone. Sir, would you like to comment on these allegations? Our cameras have been rolling for the entire confrontation. Brandon's face went white as he realized the full implications of the situation. Not only was his double life exposed in front of a crowd of strangers, but it was all being filmed for broadcast television and would undoubtedly go viral. Turn those cameras off, he demanded. You can't film this without my permission. Actually, we can, the reporter replied, professional and unyielding. You're in a public space, and this is newsworthy content. The story of a resort guest defrauding his wife to fund an affair is definitely something our viewers would be interested in. This will ruin me, Brandon said, his voice barely a whisper, the weight of his actions finally crashing down. You ruined yourself, Camilla replied, her voice firm, devoid of pity. I'm just making sure there are consequences for your actions. Luna stepped forward again. Mr. Rodriguez-Williams, I'm going to need you to settle your account immediately. Given the circumstances, the resort can no longer extend credit to you or your companion. I can't settle the account. You froze my cards. Actually, I froze our joint cards, Camilla corrected. If you had any money of your own, you could still access it. But since your entire lifestyle has been funded by my salary, I guess you're out of luck. Marion was staring at Brandon like she'd never seen him before. You don't have any money of your own at all? I have money. It's complicated. His consulting business barely breaks even, Camilla explained to Marion and the crowd. He's been living off my income for years while pretending to be a successful entrepreneur. Everything you thought you knew about his success, his wealth, his ability to provide for you, it was all lies, funded by his wife's paycheck. The humiliation on Brandon's face was complete. He had been exposed not just as a cheater, but as a fraud, a thief, and a liar. His girlfriend had dumped him. His wife was divorcing him. He had no money, and his shame was being broadcast on television. I need to get out of here, he muttered, turning to leave. Where are you going? Luna called after him. Your room has been unpaid for since this afternoon. Hotel security has been instructed not to let you back into the Ocean View suite. Brandon stopped walking, his shoulders slumping. What do you mean I can't go back to my room? I mean, the room that was paid for with your wife's money is no longer available to you. You'll need to find other accommodations. All my stuff is in there. Your belongings will be packed and held at the front desk. You can collect them once you've settled your account. Brandon looked around desperately, as if hoping someone in the crowd would help him. But everyone was staring at him with a mixture of disgust and fascination, like he was an exotic animal in a zoo. This isn't over, he said to Camilla, but his voice lacked any real conviction. Yes, it is, Camilla replied. It's been over for a long time. I just didn't know it yet. As Brandon walked away, defeated and alone, the crowd began to disperse. Several people approached Camilla to express their support and admiration for how she had handled the situation. Marion remained behind, tears streaming down her face. I am so sorry, she said to Camilla. I had no idea. I would never have gotten involved with him if I had known he was married. I know, Camilla said gently. You're not the villain in this story, Marion. We were both victims of his lies. How can you be so kind to me? I've been sleeping with your husband for months. Because you didn't know he was my husband. Brandon made sure of that. He's the only one responsible for this mess. Marion wiped her eyes. What happens now? Now we both move on with our lives, and we both do better than Brandon Rodriguez Williams. As the luau officially began and the evening's entertainment started, Camilla felt something she hadn't experienced in months: peace. The confrontation was over. The truth was exposed, and her lying, cheating, stealing husband was finally facing consequences for his actions. Tomorrow she would fly back to Chicago and begin the process of rebuilding her life. But tonight she was going to enjoy the luau, celebrate her freedom, and appreciate the fact that she would never again be married to a man who didn't deserve her. The next morning, Camilla woke up feeling lighter than she had in months. The confrontation was over. Brandon's double life was exposed, and she was finally free to move forward with her life. But Luna had news that made the situation even better. Brandon spent the night in the hotel lobby, Luna reported over breakfast. Security wouldn't let him sleep on the beach, and he couldn't afford another room. He's been calling everyone he knows trying to get someone to wire him money for a flight home. Any luck? None. Apparently, his business partners don't want to be associated with someone who's been exposed as a fraud on television, and his friends aren't interested in helping a man who lied to everyone about his marriage. Camilla should have felt sorry for him, but she didn't. Brandon had made his choices, and now he was facing the consequences. There's more, Luna continued, a hint of glee in her voice. The television segment aired this morning on the local news, and it's already going viral online. The reporter titled it, "Paradise Lost, When Vacation Romance Goes Wrong." Brandon is becoming internet famous for all the wrong reasons. Luna showed Camilla her phone where the video of their confrontation had been posted on social media. It already had over 50,000 views and hundreds of comments, most of them expressing support for Camilla and Marion and condemnation for Brandon. "My lawyer called this morning too," Camilla said. "She's thrilled about all the evidence we gathered. The video footage, the receipts, the witness testimony. She says it's one of the strongest divorce cases she's ever seen." "What kind of settlement are you looking at?" "Brandon's going to lose almost everything. The house, the cars, most of our savings. The court doesn't look kindly on spouses who commit financial fraud to fund extramarital affairs." "Good. He deserves to lose everything." At noon, Luna received a call from hotel security. Brandon was causing a disturbance at the front desk, demanding access to his belongings and threatening to sue the resort. "This should be interesting," Luna said. "Want to come watch your soon-to-be ex-husband make an even bigger fool of himself?" They arrived at the lobby to find Brandon arguing loudly with the desk clerk, looking disheveled and desperate. He had clearly slept in his clothes, and his hair was sticking up at odd angles. "I don't care what your policies are," he was shouting. "Those are my belongings, and I have a right to them." "Sir," the desk clerk replied calmly, "your belongings are available for pickup once you settle your outstanding account balance." "I told you my cards aren't working. There's been some kind of mistake." Luna approached the desk. "Mr. Rodriguez Williams, there's no mistake. Your wife froze the joint accounts that you've been using to pay for your stay here. The hotel requires payment before releasing any belongings." Brandon spun around, his eyes wild. "This is all your fault. You had no right to interfere in my personal life." "Actually, I had every right to protect my hotel from fraud," Luna countered, her voice ice cold. "Using stolen credit cards is a crime, Mr. Rodriguez Williams. I didn't steal anything. That money belongs to both of us." "Actually," Camilla said, stepping forward, her voice a calm, authoritative presence, "the money belongs to me. I earned it. I deposited it. And I have every right to prevent you from spending it on your affair." Brandon's face crumpled. "Camilla, please. I'm begging you. Just unfreeze the accounts long enough for me to get home. We can work this out." "No, Brandon. We can't work this out. You made your choice when you decided to betray our marriage and steal my money. Now you get to live with the consequences. I'll be stranded here. You should have thought of that before you committed fraud." Luna pulled out her phone. "Mr. Rodriguez Williams, I've been in contact with local authorities about your situation. Using your wife's financial accounts without her knowledge to fund personal expenses is considered fraud under Hawaiian law. The police are very interested in speaking with you." Brandon's face went white. "You called the police?" "I called them this morning after reviewing all the charges to your wife's accounts. $15,000 in fraudulent expenses is a felony." As if on cue, 2 police officers entered the lobby. They approached Brandon with official-looking paperwork. "Mr. Rodriguez-Williams, we need you to come with us for questioning regarding charges of financial fraud and identity theft." "Identity theft?" Brandon's voice cracked, fear now paramount. "Using your spouse's financial accounts without permission and forging her signature on hotel documents constitutes identity theft," one of the officers explained. "You'll need to come to the station for processing." As the police led Brandon away in handcuffs, Camilla felt a surge of satisfaction. For months, Brandon had acted like he was above consequences, like he could lie and cheat and steal without ever having to pay for his actions. Now, finally, he was facing real legal and criminal repercussions for what he had done. "Will he actually go to jail?" she asked Luna. "Probably not for long, but he'll definitely have a criminal record, and he'll have to make full restitution for all the money he stole from you." "What about getting home?" "That's his problem now. The court will probably release him on his own recognizance, but he'll have to figure out how to get back to Chicago without access to your money." That afternoon, Camilla received a call from Marion, who had also seen the news coverage of Brandon's arrest. "I just wanted to thank you again for how you handled everything yesterday," Marion said. "You could have been cruel to me, and you weren't. That meant a lot. How are you doing with all of this?" "Better than I expected. I keep thinking about all the red flags I ignored. He never let me come to his house, never introduced me to his friends, never wanted to make our relationship public on social media. I thought he was being respectful of my privacy, but really he was just hiding me from his real life." "You couldn't have known. He's very good at lying." "I've been thinking about that ring too. $3,500 is more than I make in a month at my yoga studio. If I had known he was spending that kind of money on me, I would have questioned where it was coming from. Brandon is very good at making people see what he wants them to see. That's how he fooled both of us for so long." "What happens now?" "Now, we both start over, and we both do better than Brandon Rodriguez-Williams. I hope so." "And Camila, if you ever want to come to Portland for a yoga retreat, you'll always have a friend here." That evening, as Camilla packed for her flight home the next morning, she reflected on how much her life had changed in just a few days. She had arrived in Hawaii as a betrayed wife with a broken heart. She was leaving as a soon-to-be divorced woman with a bright future ahead of her. Her phone rang. It was her lawyer with an update on the divorce proceedings. "Camilla, I have good news. Brandon's arrest for fraud has significantly strengthened our position. The court is prepared to award you the house, both cars, and 80% of your joint assets. Brandon will also be required to pay spousal support until the divorce is finalized. And the criminal charges? He'll likely plea bargain to avoid jail time, but he'll have to make full restitution and complete community service. His reputation is completely destroyed, which means his consulting business is probably finished." "Good. Maybe next time he'll think twice before stealing from his wife." As Camilla hung up, she felt a sense of justice finally being served. Brandon had spent months living a double life, funded by her hard work and built on lies. Now he would face the consequences of those choices for years to come. Tomorrow, she would go home to Chicago and begin rebuilding her life. But tonight, she was going to enjoy her last evening in Hawaii as a free woman, finally liberated from a marriage that had been over long before she knew it. 3 weeks later, Camilla was back in Chicago, settling into her new reality as a soon-to-be divorced woman. The house felt different without Brandon's presence, quieter but also more peaceful. She had thrown away everything that reminded her of their life together and was slowly redecorating to reflect her own tastes instead of their compromised choices. The legal proceedings were moving quickly. Brandon's fraud charges and the overwhelming evidence of his infidelity had made the divorce settlement negotiations surprisingly straightforward. His lawyer had advised him to accept Camilla's terms rather than risk even worse consequences at trial. Luna called every few days with updates from Hawaii, where the story of Brandon's spectacular downfall had become legendary among resort staff and guests. "He finally made it back to Chicago," Luna reported, "but not before spending 5 days sleeping in the Honolulu airport because he couldn't afford a hotel or an earlier flight. Apparently, his parents had to wire him money for a ticket home." His parents know what happened? Everyone knows what happened. The video has over 2 million views now, and it's been picked up by entertainment news shows. Brandon Rodriguez Williams is officially internet famous as the world's worst cheating husband. Camilla should have felt sorry for him, but she didn't. Brandon had humiliated her publicly by flaunting his affair and using her money to do it. Now he was experiencing his own public humiliation, and she felt no sympathy for him whatsoever. "How's Marion doing?" "She's actually doing great. She called me last week to thank the hotel staff for helping expose Brandon's lies. She said she's never been happier to be single." "Good for her. She deserves better than Brandon." "So do you. Speaking of which, there's someone I want you to meet." "Luna, I'm not ready to date anyone. My divorce isn't even final yet." "I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about meeting a potential friend who happens to be male, successful, honest, and very interested in marketing consultancy work." Camilla was intrigued despite herself. Since returning to Chicago, she had been thinking about starting her own marketing consultancy. After years of building other people's businesses, she was ready to build something for herself. "What kind of business?" "His name is James Mitchell, and he owns a chain of boutique hotels on the mainland. He was a guest at the resort when your confrontation with Brandon happened, and he was impressed by how professionally you handled the situation." He saw the whole thing. He saw everything. And his comment was that any woman who could maintain that level of composure and strategic thinking under extreme personal stress would be exactly the kind of marketing professional his business needed. "He wants to hire me based on watching me destroy my cheating husband?" "He wants to meet with you about a potential consulting contract. The romantic possibilities are just a bonus." Despite her reservations about getting involved with anyone so soon after her marriage imploded, Camilla was curious about the business opportunity. Her divorce settlement would leave her financially secure, but she still needed to build a new career path. "Give me his contact information. I'll call him about the business opportunity, and if he asks me to dinner, then I'll tell him I'm not ready to date, but I'm always ready to discuss business over a meal." 2 days later, Camilla found herself sitting across from James Mitchell at an upscale Chicago restaurant, discussing marketing strategies for boutique hotels. He was exactly as Luna had described: successful, professional, and refreshingly honest about his business challenges. "I've been looking for a marketing consultant who understands luxury hospitality," James explained. "When I saw how you handled that situation in Hawaii, I knew you were someone who could think strategically under pressure." Most people would have been embarrassed to be associated with that kind of public drama. Most people don't understand that the way someone handles a crisis tells you everything you need to know about their character. You were betrayed in the worst way possible, but you maintained your dignity, protected an innocent woman from further deception, and made sure the person who wronged you faced appropriate consequences. That's exactly the kind of strategic thinking I need for my business. They spent 2 hours discussing his hotels, their target demographics, and the marketing challenges he was facing. By the end of the meal, Camilla was excited about the potential project. "I'd like to offer you a 6-month consulting contract," James said. "It would involve traveling to each of my properties, developing individual marketing strategies, and implementing them with my staff." "That sounds like exactly the kind of challenge I'm looking for." "Excellent. There's just one thing I should mention. The contract would require you to spend about a week at each property, working closely with management to understand their unique needs. One of those properties is Luna's resort In Hawaii. Camilla smiled. I think I can handle going back to Hawaii for business purposes. Good. Because Luna mentioned that you might be interested in a permanent change of scenery. The Hawaii property needs an on-site marketing director, and the position comes with a beautiful apartment overlooking the ocean. The offer was tempting. Chicago held too many memories of her life with Brandon, and the thought of starting fresh in paradise was appealing. But Camilla had learned to be cautious about making major life decisions too quickly. Let me think about it, she said. The consulting contract sounds perfect, but I'm not ready to make any permanent moves yet. Of course. Take your time. As they prepared to leave the restaurant, James hesitated. Camilla, I hope this isn't inappropriate, but I'd like to ask you something that has nothing to do with business. What's that? Would you be interested in having dinner sometime when we're not discussing marketing strategies? No pressure, no expectations, just two people getting to know each other. Camilla looked at James, really looked at him. He was handsome in a quiet, understated way, with kind eyes and an easy smile. He was successful but not arrogant, confident but not pushy. He was everything Brandon had pretended to be, but never actually was. James, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not ready to date anyone yet. My divorce isn't even final, and I'm still figuring out who I am outside of my marriage. I understand completely, but when you are ready, I hope you'll consider it. I will. And James, thank you for seeing something in me worth investing in professionally. After everything that's happened, it means a lot to know that someone believes in my abilities. Your abilities speak for themselves. Brandon Rodriguez-Williams was an idiot to throw away someone like you. As Camilla drove home that evening, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years, excitement about her future. For too long, her life had been defined by her relationship with Brandon, by his needs and his deceptions and his betrayals. Now, finally, she was building something that belonged entirely to her. Her phone rang as she pulled into her driveway. It was her lawyer with news about Brandon. Camilla, I thought you'd want to know that Brandon's consulting business has officially filed for bankruptcy. Apparently, all of his clients dropped him after the video went viral, and he couldn't meet his financial obligations. What does that mean for our divorce settlement? It means you'll get the house and cars as planned, but there won't be much left in terms of other assets. The good news is that your separate accounts were never compromised, so your personal savings and retirement funds are intact. And the restitution for what he stole? He'll have to pay that back regardless of his business situation. The court has garnished his wages from any future employment until the debt is satisfied. So he'll be paying me back for years to come. Exactly. Every time he gets a paycheck, a portion of it will go to you until he's repaid every penny he stole. After hanging up, Camilla sat in her driveway for a few minutes, processing the complete reversal of fortune that had occurred in just a few weeks. Brandon had gone from living a luxurious double life to being bankrupt, unemployed, and facing years of financial consequences for his actions. Meanwhile, she had gone from being a betrayed wife to being a successful independent consultant with a bright future ahead of her. Justice, it seemed, had been served. That night, Camilla called Luna to share the news about James' job offer and Brandon's bankruptcy. "I'm so proud of you," Luna said. "A month ago, you were reviewing quarterly reports and ignoring the signs that your husband was cheating. Now, you're starting your own consulting business and considering a move to paradise. It's been quite a transformation. And you're thinking about the Hawaii position?" "I'm thinking about a lot of things. For the first time in years, I feel like I have options instead of obligations." "What's holding you back?" "Fear, mostly. Fear of making another mistake. Fear of trusting the wrong person again. Fear of building a life that could fall apart like this one did. Camilla, what happened with Brandon wasn't your fault. You didn't make a mistake by trusting your husband. He made a mistake by betraying that trust." "I know that intellectually, but emotionally it's harder to accept." "That's normal. But don't let Brandon's betrayal stop you from living your life. Don't give him that much power over your future." Luna was right. Brandon had already taken 7 years of Camilla's life and thousands of dollars of her money. She wasn't going to let him take her courage and her hope for the future as well. "You know what? I think I am ready for a change of scenery. Tell me more about that apartment overlooking the ocean." "It's perfect, Camilla. 2 bedrooms, a balcony with an incredible view, and it's walking distance from the beach. Plus, you'd be working with people who already know what you're capable of. And James Mitchell?" "James is a good man. He's been through his own difficult divorce, so he understands what you're going through. But he's also patient enough to wait for you to be ready for whatever comes next." "Okay, I'll do it. I'll take the consulting contract, and I'll seriously consider the permanent position in Hawaii." "Really? Really? Brandon destroyed the life we built together, but that doesn't mean I can't build something better for myself." "I'm so excited. We're going to have so much fun working together again. Just promise me one thing, Luna." "Anything. If I ever start dating another man who seems too good to be true, call his references." Luna laughed. "Deal. But I have a feeling James Mitchell's references will check out just fine." As Camilla hung up the phone and began researching flights to Hawaii for her first consulting trip, she felt lighter than she had in years. The future was uncertain, but it was hers to shape. And after everything she had been through, that felt like the greatest gift of all. For the first time since discovering Brandon's betrayal, Camilla was genuinely excited about what tomorrow might bring. 6 months later, Camilla was standing on the balcony of her new apartment in Hawaii, watching the sunset paint the Pacific Ocean in shades of gold and crimson. Her consulting business was thriving. Her divorce was finally finalized, and she was happier than she had been in years. The transformation in her life was complete. Gone was the stressed, overworked marketing executive who ignored red flags and made excuses for her cheating husband. In her place was a confident, successful entrepreneur who had built something beautiful from the ashes of her destroyed marriage. Her phone buzzed with a text from her lawyer. "Final divorce decree signed. You're officially free. Congratulations." Camilla smiled and poured herself a glass of champagne to celebrate. After months of legal proceedings, documentation, and negotiations, her marriage to Brandon Rodriguez Williams was officially over. She was now Camilla Rodriguez again, and she had never been happier to reclaim her maiden name. Luna appeared on the balcony with her own glass of champagne. Is this a private celebration, or can anyone join? It's definitely a celebration worth sharing. The divorce is final, and I just signed the contract to buy this apartment. I'm officially a Hawaii resident. And how do you feel about that? I feel free for the first time in years. Every decision I make is mine alone. Every dollar I earn belongs to me. Every choice about my future is based on what I want, not what someone else expects from me. They clinked glasses and watched the sun sink lower toward the horizon. Any regrets? Luna asked. About leaving Chicago? None. About divorcing Brandon? Absolutely none. About confronting him publicly? Not even a little bit. Good, because I have some news about your ex-husband that you might find interesting. I'm listening. He tried to get a job at a marketing firm in Chicago last month. The hiring manager Googled his name during the interview process. Oh no, Camilla said, though she didn't sound particularly sympathetic. The video of his confrontation in Hawaii was the first search result. He didn't get the job. That's unfortunate for him. It gets better. He's apparently been trying to date again, but every woman he meets eventually discovers his internet fame. One of them called him the Hawaii cheater to his face. I should probably feel bad about that, but I really don't. You shouldn't feel bad. Brandon created his own reputation by cheating on his wife and stealing her money. The consequences are entirely his fault. Camilla's phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and smiled. It's James. We're having dinner tonight to celebrate my official Hawaii residency status. And how are things going with James? Slowly, carefully, but really well. Over the past 6 months, Camilla and James had developed a friendship that was gradually becoming something more. He had been patient with her need to take things slowly, understanding about her trust issues, and supportive of her business goals. Unlike Brandon, who had seen her success as competition, James celebrated her achievements and encouraged her ambitions. "Hi, James," Camilla answered the phone. "I was just telling Luna about my official Hawaii residency." "Congratulations. I have a reservation at that new restaurant you wanted to try. Are you ready to celebrate properly?" "I'm ready for anything." After hanging up, Camilla realized how true that statement was. For years, she had been afraid to take risks, afraid to trust her instincts, afraid to demand better for herself. Brandon's betrayal had been devastating, but it had also been liberating. It had forced her to rebuild her life from scratch, and the result was stronger and more beautiful than what she had before. "I should go get ready for dinner," Camilla said. "Wait, there's one more thing," Luna added. "Marion called me yesterday. How's she doing?" "She's engaged to a yoga instructor from Portland who's never been married and has no secret wives anywhere. She wanted me to tell you that your advice about trusting her instincts changed her life." "I'm so happy for her. She deserves someone honest." "She also wanted me to tell you that she thinks about you every time she makes a financial decision with her fiancé. She said watching you take control of your life taught her the importance of financial independence in relationships." Camilla felt a warm glow of satisfaction. Not only had she successfully rebuilt her own life, but her example had helped another woman avoid future heartbreak. As she got ready for dinner with James, Camilla reflected on everything that had changed since that devastating phone call from Luna 6 months ago. She had lost a cheating husband, but she had gained a successful business, a beautiful home, and the respect of everyone who had witnessed her strength during the worst moment of her life. The restaurant James had chosen was elegant but not ostentatious, with a perfect view of the ocean and soft lighting that made everything feel romantic without being overwhelming. James was waiting for her at their table, looking handsome in a navy suit that brought out his eyes. "You look beautiful," he said, standing to pull out her chair. "You look pretty good yourself. So, officially divorced and officially a Hawaii resident. How does it feel?" "It feels like the beginning of something amazing." Over dinner, they talked about her business plans, his hotel expansion ideas, and their shared love of Hawaii's natural beauty. James was easy to talk to, funny without being silly, and genuinely interested in her thoughts and opinions. "Can I ask you something personal?" James said as they shared dessert. "Of course." "Do you ever regret how publicly you handled the situation with Brandon? Some people might have preferred to deal with it privately." Camilla considered the question carefully. "I used to think I should regret it. The public humiliation, the viral video, the complete destruction of his reputation. But then I remember that Brandon made his affair as public as possible while keeping me in the dark. He flaunted his relationship with Marion, used my money to do it, and would have proposed to her in front of a crowd if I hadn't stopped him. So, you feel like you gave him what he deserved?" "I feel like I gave him exactly the same level of public exposure that he gave our affair. The only difference is that I told the truth and he was living a lie. And you're not worried about people thinking you were too harsh?" "James, my husband was stealing my money to fund an affair with another woman. He was planning to propose to his mistress while still married to me. If people think I was too harsh in exposing that, then they don't understand the magnitude of his betrayal." James nodded thoughtfully. "You know what I admire most about how you handled everything?" "What's that?" "You protected Marion. You could have blamed her, humiliated her, made her the villain in the story. Instead, you made sure she knew the truth about Brandon and gave her the chance to make informed decisions about her future." "Marion was as much a victim as I was. Brandon lied to both of us. Not every woman would have seen it that way. Most people would have been too angry to think clearly. I was angry. I'm still angry, but I was angrier at Brandon than at Marion, because Brandon was the one who made vows to me." As they walked along the beach after dinner, James took her hand. It felt natural and comfortable. Nothing like the desperate, possessive way Brandon had touched her in the final months of their marriage. "Camilla, I know you're still rebuilding your life and learning to trust again. I don't want to rush you into anything you're not ready for, but I'd like to be part of your future when you're ready for that." Camilla stopped walking and turned to face him. Under the moonlight, with the sound of waves in the background, she felt something she hadn't experienced in years: hope for a romantic future that wasn't built on lies or deception. "James, I care about you more than I expected to care about anyone this soon after my divorce, but I need you to know that I'm different now than I was when I was married." "Different how?" "I'm stronger. I'm more independent. I won't ignore red flags or make excuses for bad behavior. I won't lose myself in a relationship ever again." "Good. I don't want you to lose yourself. I fell for the strong, independent woman who exposed her cheating husband and built a successful business from scratch. I don't want you to be anyone other than exactly who you are. And I need you to know that I'll never again be with someone I can't trust completely. If you're going to be in my life, it has to be with complete honesty and transparency." "I wouldn't have it any other way." Camilla looked into James's eyes and saw everything she had thought she saw in Brandon years ago. But this time, it felt real. James had proven his character through his actions, his patience, and his respect for her boundaries. "Okay," she said softly. "I'd like you to be part of my future, too." As James kissed her under the Hawaiian stars, Camilla felt like the final piece of her new life had fallen into place. She had built something beautiful from the ruins of her marriage, and now she had someone worthy to share it with. 6 months ago, she had been a betrayed wife, living a lie. Tonight, she was a successful businesswoman living her truth, surrounded by people who valued and respected her. Brandon had tried to destroy her, but instead, he had set her free to become the person she was always meant to be. The revenge she had taken on her cheating husband had been sweet, but the life she had built afterward was even sweeter. And as she fell asleep that night in her own apartment, in her own bed, with her own successful business and her own bright future ahead of her, Camilla Rodriguez knew that she had won far more than she had lost. Brandon Rodriguez Williams would spend years paying for his betrayal, both financially and socially. But Camila Rodriguez would spend those same years living the beautiful life she deserved, free from deception and surrounded by people who truly loved her. In the end, the best revenge had been living well and living truthfully. This story isn't just a tale of justice. It's a powerful lesson in self-worth, the critical importance of financial independence, and the courage it takes to confront betrayal and rebuild a life that is truly your own, free from the shadows of another's deceit. It's a testament to the idea that sometimes the end of one chapter is simply the dramatic opening of a much more authentic and fulfilling one.